The Morgan Thomas Show. Brought to you by Black's Tire Inc.
Here we go. You are watching and listening to The Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. We are broadcasting in Greenville, South Carolina, wherever you may be watching or listening. Welcome to the show. Check out our show over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere. We come to you. And joining me tonight is my co-host and good friend, Big Al, Alan Adams. Welcome to the show, Al.
Man, it's good to be here again. A huge weekend for the Tigers, as we'll get into a little bit later. So, as always, a great day to be a Tiger, a great day to talk Tigers with anybody and everybody. So get in on the comment line, get in on the phone line, and we'll chat you up, see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, let's do it. The phone line is 864-772-6674. That's 864-772-MORG. We got 5 lines open right now, so you can get in if you would like. But we got some special guests also coming on the show. We're going to do a little bit of small talk, but then we're going to get into Clemson men's basketball talk. And a special guest, Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player, is going to join us. We're excited about that because I get kind of nerded out, Al, when I have a player like this, because just players that played during the time that I was in college, it's just a little bit extra special to me. I don't know why.
Oh, no, but I understand. I mean, somebody you modeled your game after, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, in church basketball, I led the league in three-point shots as well. Not three-point percentage, you know, but three-point shots.
Right.
But we're going to be talking about Christmas in January, late January. I know this is what everybody that is watching wants to talk about because everybody loves Clemson football. Clemson football is actually year-round when you're an elite school like the Tigers. And the Tigers had an elite Junior Day weekend and some elite commitments lined up that signed up for the Clemson Tigers. Not signed yet, but decided to verbally commit to the Clemson Tigers and 2020 guys. So not guys you're going to see this year in the 2020 season, but 2021 you're going to see them. And so we're excited about that. We're going to talk about them, and then we're going to look at a couple of film that they have from Huddle. So we're looking forward to that. I know everybody is excited for that. And then finally, we're going to have a special guest, Jason Priester, from Clemson Maven. That's Clemson on Sports Illustrated. He writes a lot on Clemson Junkies Facebook page. You might know him from that, but he's going to talk all things Clemson baseball. And I'm going to bow out. I'm going to go get me some ice cream from the fridge, and I'm going to let Alan and Jason talk about baseball.
I can do that. That's no problem. It's really not a big deal at all. Hey, by the way, I know, obviously, you know, one thing that a lot of people are thinking about, it's been in the news a ton these past couple of days, is obviously the passing of Kobe Bryant and his daughter, and of course all the people that were on the plane as well. 7 others, I believe it was, that were on that plane. It's just crazy. It's very tragic. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of them and their families. I had Nick Cullen kind of get in on the line and wanted to do a 24-second kind of moment of silence for those guys. I didn't know if that's something the show host would be up for, but I told him I'd ask, so I thought I'd give it out to you.
Hey, give me a second here. I was on mute there. Sorry. I might be able to do that. I don't have a black screen to pull up just in memory. I didn't make that, but you know, Kobe Bryant, I'm sure. Yes, he has a Twitter account. Let me see if I can get a picture. You know, it'd be really nice to get a picture of him and his daughter. Obviously, she was involved in the crash as well. Gigi, just tragic, man. I mean, Alan and I are both fathers of little girls, and just to hear what happened is it's devastating for sure. Let me see. You know, if our fans want it, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Hey, while you're working on that, I got a little bit of a story to tell about Kobe Bryant. I was never a big Kobe Bryant fan as far as on the basketball court, and I'll tell you why. When I was a little bit younger, my dad used to get tickets every now and then to Charlotte Hornets games. So I was a big Hornets fan, a huge Baron Davis, Jamal Mashburn kind of guy. That was a long time ago. We had some great seats one night. I think we were about mid-court, you know, several rows up, and we were playing the Los Angeles Lakers of all teams. Kobe Bryant, I think he was just getting into the league. I don't think he'd been in there very long. And, you know, I mean, they were obviously supposed to kill Charlotte because Charlotte wasn't very good. And into the game comes, I think Charlotte gets a big layup to go up a point with, you know, 15 seconds left or something. And I mean, this kid goes down the court. I mean, this young kid just got in the NBA, pulls this ridiculous Kobe fadeaway at the last second and drains it, and we lose. And I get to go home sad and crying. So I kind of had it out for him the rest of his career. I never pulled for him, but obviously in kind of the wake of these kind of moments, you forget all about that and the guy he seemed to be. So obviously we want to make sure everybody understands that we were pulling for the guy that he was, and want to make sure they know our hearts and prayers are going out to all of them.
Yeah, I was always an Allen Iverson fan. I didn't really like Kobe as far as like follow him, but you always respected Kobe on the court. I mean, he was a great player.
Yeah.
And but it's not just Kobe Bryant. I mean, this was a trip, I believe, to his academy, the Mamba Academy, and it involved, like you said, 9 other people, including the pilot Era Zobayan. You got Kobe Bryant, who's 41, Gianna Bryant, who's 13, John Altobelli, 56, Carrie Altobelli, Alyssa Altobelli, Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, who's 13 years old, and then Christina Mauser, who I believe was like the assistant coach for that team. So just a tragic moment. And per request of our audience, we're going to do a 24-second moment of silence for Kobe Bryant and those and his daughter and those involved in that just devastating crash. Whew, man, you don't like to have to go through those things. Al, we life and death, man, is something that we've experienced this past year in 2019. You're not promised tomorrow. And what I would say is make sure that you hug and kiss someone you love tonight, and you call them if you can't do that, because you never know. You never know for sure. But again, thank you so much for joining the show again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you may be watching the show. Thank you so much. We got a ton of people watching over on YouTube. Episode 54, season number 2. We're excited for it. And it's not, not football season, but there's a lot of football going on. We're going to talk about that. Alan, I got about 17 people watching over on YouTube. How many people you got over on Facebook?
Well, you're gonna have to catch up, brother, because we got 57 over here on Facebook. Okay, I told you, my man Nick Cullen was in here. John Valiant's in as well. Al Kuhn, Beth Webb, Joey Thomas, Kevron, of course, one of our regulars is in here. Jimmy Stamey, it's good to see you in there, Jimmy. My cousin Jenny Lynn is there. Denise Shepard, my mom Trey Carter. My in-laws are watching. My wife is watching. Man, we got a ton of people over here. Goodness gracious. So, by the way, we say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. Share the stream. If you're watching right now, if you haven't shared it already, share the stream. That's how the word gets out. That's how the viewers go up. That's how the comment goes up. It sparks conversation. That's what we like to see. So make sure you like it, share it, and get this thing going.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for joining. Got a lot of people over on YouTube saying that kind of fell out of their chair when Kobe Bryant news struck. I mean, I think I was leaving a friend's house. I had left the phone in the car because I try to do that. I've been trying to do that when I'm at a friend's house to kind of, keep focused. I can get distracted.
It's happened before.
So, I left the phone in the car, and I came back out after a couple hours, and I looked at it. I was like, the first thing on Twitter was that. And I think I saw today at the gym that 8.8 million tweets in the past day and a half or 2 days. It's crazy. The amount of support and just condolences and everything that's been going on with the Kobe Bryant situation. Like I said, if you shoot a balled up piece of paper into a trash can, you're gonna say Kobe. You're gonna throw that up there. Now, for me, I mean, in remembrance of him, I played a little basketball with Annabeth. Just on the little Tykes basketball goal, just for fun. But it's one of those things where he was just a great basketball player, and it's tough to see because he's really, I mean, a lot of people, even the president said, both presidents said that, he was 41. I mean, he had a lot of life ahead of him, and a lot of people were really upset about Bryant, his Gigi because I mean she's 13 and she would go to games with him and she was really good, and they expected her to kind of make a run for the WNBA.
Yeah.
So and I remember a video they had a video up on NBA Tonight where it said they interviewed him and said, hey, when he comes out of stadiums, when he comes out of arenas, fans usually say, hey man, you and Vanessa have to have a son, so that you can have another basketball player in your family. And he remembers just people saying that, and if his daughter was there, man, she would snap at him. She'd be like, he doesn't have to worry because he's got me. And that's the kind of stuff that you just love, you just love as a dad, you cherish. And I don't know what happened. I mean, it seems like it ran right into the mountain side there. Hopefully for me, I mean, I was thinking about this on the way home before the show. Hopefully for as a dad, you're thinking that it was just quick, just hit the mountain, everything was over. A lot of people said, man, what do you go through your mind if you know you're crashing? For me, I just hope I'm out, man. Just take me. I don't want to have to anticipate something like that. It was tragic, and definitely something that shook the sports world, and we can't ignore for sure. But appreciate everybody calling in or coming in and watching us. We actually have our special guest on the line, Al. We're gonna go ahead and get into segment number 1, and that is special guest Terrance Oglesby. So let me get him on the line here real quick. Hey, Terrance, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you really well. Alan, can you hear him?
Yep, got him loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Terrance. This is the Morgan Thomas Show, and I'm the host and producer. We've got Alan Adams as the co-host, and we talk all things Clemson basketball, baseball, football, anything we can. And obviously, you're a former Clemson basketball player. I believe, Alan, is he the first former Clemson player? No, that's not true. We had Eric McLean, right? And
right.
So we had Eric McLean a few weeks ago, and now this is the first
basketball
player, though. So we're very excited about that. And I was telling Alan, I don't know if you were listening before, but I was telling Alan, I'm a little bit nerded out here. I'm kind of starstruck because it's something different when you're talking to a former player who played while you were also in college. It's just something different about that. And so thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, again, this is the Morgan Thomas Show, and we are on the phone with Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player. Just to give you a little bit of rundown, if maybe you kind of forgot a little bit who he was. He was 6'2", former basketball player from 2007 to 2009. As a freshman, was the team leader in three-point field goals made at 85 and accuracy at 40.5%. He was also the team leader in the same categories as a sophomore, and he was honorable mention to the All-ACC freshman team. Decided to go play in Europe after his sophomore year and returned to graduate from Clemson, so he's a Clemson graduate. He was also did some assistant basketball coaching at Clemson, and now is assistant basketball coach for Carson Newman Eagles. And we're excited to have you on. First question out the gate, I'll hand it over to Alan. Alan is, can you hear him? And go ahead.
Yeah, we talk about the basketball team a lot. I like to watch the games. We'll have some conversations with me and a buddy of mine about kind of how things are going. I think this team kind of goes as Tevin Mack goes. I know you kind of know what you get from Sims, for the most part every night, and the intention that he kind of draws. But the streaky shooting of Mack, kind of seems to make or break the team. I mean, do you kind of have any thoughts on that, or kind of have a different analysis, a different outcome?
Well, I think there's without a doubt a difference in the team, the way they perform whenever Mack is playing well. But now, keep in mind, I was pretty preoccupied with Carson. I actually just resigned that position, but I'll give you some more background on that in a minute. But Tevin Mack, when he's playing against Duke, Carolina, and some of these guys, he's much more engaged at doing more than just shooting threes. It's just a significant difference. He plays NC State and he's chasing, and then he plays the game before he plays Duke and he's engaged, he's attacking, because I don't know if it's has to do a little bit with the opportunities around the rim or what, but I can definitely see exactly what you're talking about, because whenever he's good, the team's good. And he's got – I talked to Dig Bender, the assistant coach, about this the other day. If you put Tevin Mack on last year's team, it provides kind of the same spurtability, if you will, spurtability. I like that word for him.
That's
the
a good one.
spurtability to be able to kind of pick your team up emotionally. And Gabe DeVoe had it 2 years ago, and last year it was like you didn't really have that extra oomph because you kind of knew what you were going to get out of Shelton Mitchell. You knew what you were going to get out of Marquise Reed. Eli Thomas was a coin flip. But there was never really anybody to kind of be able to spark and hit four right in a row to kind of give you that energy. And when Tevin Mack isn't chasing threes and he's letting it come to him and he's getting some looks at the basket, he's really good. When he tries to chase like he did against Louisville, he gets too preoccupied with the three ball, and it affects both sides of the floor for him. And it makes it difficult, really, for guys to kind of get in the groove around him. So I think you're absolutely right.
And again, we're on the line with Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player. And we kind of jumped into the first question, but the reason why I kind of noticed that you wanted to bring you on the show, rather, is that I noticed that you were doing a lot of analysis or post-game and pre-game analysis for the Clemson basketball team for the past couple of games over on social media. And I wanted to ask you, what got you to start doing that this year? Have you been doing that since the start of the season, or is this something you just kind of started doing? And what made you want to start doing that?
No, it's kind of weird. Give you a little background. I now have 2 degrees from Clemson University. I got my master's of science in athletic leadership from Clemson after I graduated in undergrad, and I left to go to Carson Newman, and my father passed away in August. And for those who don't know, my father he was a businessman, so there's a lot of loose ends that are needing to be tied up, and I didn't have the chance to do both effectively. So I kind of had to step away and do some other things. And now all that stuff is starting to settle down. And I came to the Wake Forest game, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see about it, because I did some radio with Don Munson on 105.5 for the games, and then I did a couple of different things, and I really enjoyed it. But what I've come to figure out since I have been away from coaching is I really enjoy my kids. And I don't mind 17 and 18 hour days. I just would prefer not to have 6 and 7 of them in a row. And basketball coaching at the highest level, it demands that sort of time. And I really enjoy the game of basketball. I know the game of basketball really well, not only as a player, but to be a graduate assistant for Brad Brownell is pretty demanding. And I was able to pick up a lot of knowledge and a lot of different ways to see the game of basketball through him. So to be able to use the stuff that I learned, but yet not necessarily have to live and die by every make or miss has been because I'm so competitive, as I'm sure you know. I just it would ruin my next 3 days if we lost the game, and it began to affect my family, especially after the passing of my father. So I want to be around it. I don't want to live and die by it. I want to be able to pick up my kids from school on occasion, and it's just one of those things where it makes most sense of all just to do it. And then after the Wake Forest game, I was like, well, I'll just see what happens. So I did it, and I got a lot of really good responses from it. And next thing I know, I do one more game, and TigerNet calls me, and they asked me to do that. And so I'm going to actually do the rest of the season, do pregame and postgame analysis for TigerNet. And then meanwhile, I actually recorded my first podcast today. I'm going to really get into that side of the things because I really enjoy ACC basketball and talking about it. And really, I want to teach basketball, but the day-to-day grind and all that stuff, it puts it in a different perspective. So this is kind of a different way to teach basketball and a different way for people to understand it, and not just hold your follow through, but kind of the complexities of what are going on. And that's really what I enjoy more than anything.
That's awesome. Again, was
that enough? Was that enough of an answer for you?
Yeah, I mean,
I tend to get along with it.
No, we appreciate it, and you have such great information. I mean, you're so connected to the sport and to coaching and like that lifestyle and understanding it and playing it. Not only that, you played at a high level in college and then played over in Europe. So you have a lot of experiences that I think a lot of the analysts don't have. And, if you need any help with YouTube, Facebook, whatever, podcast, I'll be more than happy. Al and I will be more than happy to give you some pointers or whatever you need. We'll help you out for sure, because that's what Clemson graduates, Clemson fans do. We help each other as Clemson family. And again, about family, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. I know that's tough to have to deal with that, but glad that you seem to be kind of working towards getting everything in order, and like I said, just continuing to pursue your passion, but maybe also be able to balance some things too. That's why I wasn't a professional in anything, because the time it takes. I just couldn't do it. But a lot of people, I'm just joking, but a lot of people look up to Dabo Swinney, but it's very uncommon to have a coach put so much emphasis on family in a like you said, in a position where, I've said it plenty of times to my wife, like I can't believe how much emphasis is on family in a position where you're not at home very often, and especially
no doubt. No.
Yeah. We're talking about we're talking about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm screwing everything up.
No, you're fine. We're talking about recruiting, and it's just a few weeks after the national championship game. We're talking about he had a big recruiting weekend. We're going to do that in segment number 2. And really, where is the time away? And I'm sure college basketball is the same for you.
Oh, no question. And the thing is too is Brad Brownell was very good about that as well, but he also had deadlines for certain things. So when you're a grad student like I was basically taking a full load plus half of I was taking 9 hours when I should have been taking 6 of grad school courses. Plus I have 2 kids and a wife at home. Plus I'm helping Antonio Reynolds Dean, one of the assistants, prepare the full scout, and all the written version and stuff I would bring to him, and he would basically tinker with 1 or 2 things. So I was responsible for a lot of that stuff, and it just bogs you down. Now, Coach Brownell is great about, guys, go be with your families, take the day off, enjoy the week. Especially during the off season, he's good about that stuff. He's about as normal a human, and there are some psychos coaching, but he is about as normal a human who's very considerate for his staff and all that stuff as you're going to get. So, Dabo, he's done a tremendous job of emphasizing family. It's so nice to see him and having his kids with him. Last time I saw Dabo before this season, I actually saw him when I was in vacation, but that's a whole nother story. And we actually went and played pickup and did that whole thing. We all met each other down in the Bahamas, but that was a funny story in itself. But man, I'm so happy that Clemson has that atmosphere about it. And people say there's something in those hills, and there really is. It's just such a welcoming place. And a lot of people really, if you think about it, could have been bitter towards me after leaving 2 years. You think about that. But I came back to try to graduate. They had this Tiger Trust program set up. They pay for all my schooling, all my undergrad. I get the GA position. They pay for 3/5 of my master's program. So for somebody who kind of I'm not going to say the word bailed, because the aspiration of every athlete is to become a professional at that level. But somebody who leaves early and they just welcome me like I never left. And there's just something about that place that's welcoming and inviting back and forgiving almost.
Wow. That's a great insight there into your experiences as a Clemson player and then a Clemson coach. Again, we're on the line with Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player for the Clemson Tigers from 2007 to 2009. Great shooter for the team when he played. Question for you is the free throw shooting for the Clemson Tigers. I think this was going to get brought up for sure. But right. It seemed like Brownell had been doing a great job. It seemed like during the Purnell days, it was more about tempo and pace and just kind of getting a fast basket any way possible. And free throw shooting was kind of not as good. And then Brad Brownell came in, and it was like, okay, Brad Brownell was able to almost seemingly fix that very quickly. But this year, it seems to be struggling again. I looked him up, and Terrance, they are 301st out of 350 teams listed in the NCAA, and that's the most teams that they list. There's more teams than that. They just won't list anymore. So they're 301st at 65.8%. Now, I've listened to the radio, and we've been on the Roar a lot. I mean, is it something that can be corrected, or is this something that is just kind of you either got it or you don't?
Well, I mean, first of all, you recruit better shooters. I think Brownell has done a good job of that. Now, if you really want to look deep into it, you take Clyde Trapp out of the mix, and you're floating in the low hundreds. So I mean, you'll move up 100 spots if you take out Clyde Trapp. And I'm almost willing to give him a little leeway because he's coming back from a major injury, playing major minutes. And the kid shot a ton of free throws. I think if there was one positive, and there were a couple of positives, if there was one of a few positives that came from the Louisville game, I think Clyde went 3 for 4 from the line or something like that. Like, it was a good number. And I think he's starting to kind of get his flow back. I mean, sure, it has been bad, but I don't really foresee it continuing. I don't know what you do differently. It's just get guys to kind of relax and just knock them down because it's all mental at that point. For Clyde Trapp, it's all mental. I mean, that kid's played enough, and he's a good enough player to where he should be shooting good percentages. But I don't want people to forget, and this is kind of the hard thing too, because as collegiate basketball fans, everybody gets impatient. You want guys to be good right away. Clyde Trapp tore his ACL, and I want to say July. And now he's getting dropped as a starting point guard in the hardest conference in the country for point guards in January. So there has to be a little leeway given there. But, you know, I have no doubt that it's going to pick up, especially from his end. But as far as free throw shooting is concerned, I mean, you just got to knock them down, and they have the shooters to knock them down. I think it's just a mental thing. And sometimes when one guy misses and another guy, and it kind of snowballs, but I don't see it being an issue going forward. I think they were 9 of 12 at Louisville. Was it 75%? So I could see it coming up substantially.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're talking about Clyde Trapp. That's one of the things I kind of wanted to ask you about. You know, he's been in the lineup continuously. He's had his struggles from the free throw line. He's also struggled shooting from the field in general. You know, so can you explain to kind of the viewers out there? A lot of people are a little frustrated with that. Can you explain to them a little bit why it's beneficial for Clemson to have him in the game, regardless of his poor free throw and field goal percentage?
Well, I mean, Alamir Dawes was a top, I want to say he was a top 100 or top 80 point guard coming out, but he's still a freshman. I mean, you come from St. Patrick's School in New Jersey, which is one of the most decorated high school programs in the country, but you walk directly into Virginia Tech and you're just being thrown into the wolves. I mean, it doesn't matter unless your name's Cole Anthony. It makes it a very difficult adjustment. And Clyde Trapp, while other guys can get you the lead and things like that, when it comes to winning time, you need to be able to take care of the ball, you need to be able to run your offense, and you need to be able to direct and point guys where they're at. I think one of the games you saw that was when they played Duke. They moved Alamir Dawes off the ball because Alamir Dawes is one heck of a defender. And he does a lot of good things. He's good for a head-scratching turnover a half right now because he's young. And I think that he's going to be really good. I'm just telling everybody right now, Alamir Dawes is going to be a problem. But to win at the college level, I talked to Kelly and Kwok about this. You need a settle-down guy at the end of the game when guys are pressing. You need somebody who's just going to everybody can look to and know that, like, we're going to be okay. And Amir Sims is that, but he's not a point guard. Shelton Mitchell was that his sophomore and junior year. His senior year, he couldn't hardly walk, poor guy. But that's what made Clemson so good 2 years ago when Shelton Mitchell was healthy, was that they had the ultimate point guard who could just kind of set him up and not turn it over and was just calm the entire time. He was so calm it drove Brownell crazy. But at the same time, that's also the reason he was so good.
Yeah, you
And
bring up a
Clyde's
lot of
getting
good
there.
points too about Alamir Dawes. When you watch him on the court, like you said, I mean, from a fan standpoint, it seems like it's a tough situation to put a freshman in that late game moments in the ACC, or even against some of these big time Big Ten teams. It's very stressful for somebody that new in the game in college basketball in general to have to kind of lead the team. And then, like you said, Amir Sims, he can't be the point guard, but in some of these games, and I felt like, especially on this Tobacco Road winning streak that they took, he kind of did take over that point guard position. I was like, man, he's over here dribbling behind the 3-point line and driving in like a kind of like a little younger LeBron James a little bit. But we're finishing up with Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player, talking about the Clemson men's basketball team this year. And last question for you before we let you go, because I know it's getting a little bit late. But what's your favorite in-game moment as a player for the Clemson Tigers?
Oh, man, we had some good ones. Here's one that people don't typically remember, but when we played Florida State at home my freshman year, we went into double OT, and Trevor Booker and James made some crazy shots at the end of regulation and at the end of the first overtime. And then I think that was the game that I broke the overtime scoring record. But it was the loudest I've ever heard Little John, and it was against Florida State. And I think it was on Fox Sports South. And it wasn't really that highly publicized game. Everybody wants to say Maryland up there when I was playing, or Duke at home my sophomore year when I missed the dunk that was so legendary that everybody seems to remember. But that Florida State game was one of the craziest experiences as a player that I can ever remember, just because we just hit one tough shot after another. And then finally in the second overtime, the lid just came off, and it was just the energy in old Little John was just incredible. So I would have to go with that one, just to kind of throw you off a little bit, because I think you were wanting me to say the Maryland game.
Alan, I think Alan did have a little bit of premeditated idea there, where he wanted you to go with that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. I went to school for journalism and broadcasting. And we were up there at Maryland, and Scott Van Pelt, who's still to this day one of my favorites, was sitting right behind our bench. And as you know, he's a huge Maryland guy. And I hit that game-winning three, and I made that sucker come out there and take a picture with me. And I didn't realize that it could be seen as me rubbing it in his face, but I was such a fan that I wanted a picture with the guy. So, man, I hit a shot to knock them out of the tournament that year, and then I make him get on the floor and take a picture with him. So there you go. That's my Scott Van Pelt story. It's one of my favorites of all time. I didn't realize what it meant, really. I didn't even understand he was a Maryland guy. I just knew that, man, he was phenomenal on TV. I wanted a picture with the guy. And sure enough, there you go. And I think he caught some flack for that on his radio show.
Well, even players are fans at heart, for sure. So, again, we've got Terrance Oglesby on the line, former Clemson basketball player, and looking to get back into some media work and maybe become an analyst, and he's doing some things for TigerNet. Thank you so much, Terrance, for coming on this little old show with us, and we'll make sure to have some clips out so you can watch yourself or listen to yourself talk about Clemson basketball. We hope to have you on again maybe later on in the season. Hopefully, Clemson does well in this ACC schedule that they've got going on, and maybe make it to the NCAA tournament. We got our fingers crossed over here at the Morgan Thomas Show. But again, on behalf of Morgan and Alan, we appreciate you coming on the show. We hope to have you back again.
Absolutely. Just shoot me a message, and I'll come on.
All right, I appreciate it again. Thank you. That was Terrance Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player. And Al, he gave you a good nugget there.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. I mean, obviously, like you said, I think everybody remembers the Maryland game. So I assume that's what he was going to talk about. But hey, since everybody already remembers that one, it's cool that he kind of gave us something different there. And yeah, of course, you cut my question off because I wanted to lead him into the missed dunk, because everybody wants to ask him about the missed dunk. He can put me down for a little temporary bitterness, by the way. When he left early, I was not a real happy camper about that. Man, watching him rain those threes down was some of the greatest moments in Clemson basketball. And as a selfish fan, of course, you want to see that continue. But man, he was awesome. Thanks for coming on and doing that interview with us. We really appreciate it. That's good stuff.
I didn't even think about it. We talked about kind of like Kobe, just normal basketball players saying Kobe when you shoot something. I mean, there's been plenty of times where when we were in college and he was on the Tigers team, I mean, if he hit a three, Oglesby is just like a great name to say after hitting a three. Oglesby, I mean, that was especially in the game winner. I mean, that's just, that's a great last name for a 3-point shooter. And again, we need more guys like him that's consistent, 40% from beyond the arc as a freshman. Man, Clemson Tigers need that this year. They seem to have it some games, and then other games it's like they fall off the planet with it. And, we appreciate you sticking with us over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you may be watching the show. We're going to check in with our YouTube channel. We got about 18 people watching right now. Big Al, what you got over on Facebook?
We got about 26 still hanging in with us over here. I did see Sharon Denise get in. I saw Cass Holy got in. Jason Priester has joined us. Houston Burnett as well. So we got a few newbies over here. The chat line was going pretty good. A lot of people liked that interview, so that was good stuff.
Yeah, it's not easy to get a player on the show. I mean, we're not the Roar, we're not Quack and Kelly, but we try our hardest to kind of get some people on the show that you will be interested in listening to. And man, Oglesby is just great at some insight on the Clemson basketball program because he was an assistant, he was a player, and just playing professionally, also being a coach. I mean, he's done a little bit of everything, and I think we wish him well as far as being an analyst or whatever God's door opens up for him. So we appreciate him coming on the show again. But that's it for segment number 1, Clemson men's basketball update. Thank you again for joining us. We're not going to go on a hard break because of basketball season. Our podcast doesn't get re-aired on the Roar right now. But Al and I, we're working on some things with the Roar, and we hope to be back with them soon. So keep your ear to the ground, keep your eyes out, looking out for what coming up next for the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. But Al, let's jump into segment number 2. This is the football fan's dream, segment number 2, and that is the Clemson. What do you call it? Elite Junior Day, Clemson Elite Junior Day this weekend. Big time recruiting weekend for the Tigers. And man, it was Christmas in late January. The Tigers hit it big, really big.
Yeah.
So to start it off, what we do is we talk about the recruits that Clemson just got committed to them or that just committed to Clemson. We're going to talk about 4 big time recruits: Bo Collins, Jake Brenningstool, Cade Denhoff, and Corey Foreman. We're going to talk about them. We're going to also have some of their highlight videos that they've put up on social media, so you can check that out if you haven't already seen it. This is a popular segment. People love recruiting. This is the 2021 team so it won't be a team you'll see this year. It'll be a team you see next year. So they're juniors right now in high school. Keep that in mind, juniors. When we list off their height and weight, they are juniors in high school, and they'll be playing their senior year coming up this season as the Tigers 2020 season gets underway, and then they'll be coming in. Most of them, hopefully, will be early enrollees at the beginning of 2021 in January, and then if not, they'll come in the summer of 2021 to play on the team for that year. But Al, kind of tell us your thoughts going into it. Instead of talking, let's not get into specific players yet, but what were your thoughts about just the overall weekend? Were you expecting a kind of a Clemson to strike it big this weekend?
I was expecting a couple commits. I wasn't expecting 4. I don't know that many people at all were expecting 4. It was a crazy weekend. I mean, the news just kept rolling in. The good news just kept on rolling in. It was great. It was incredible. Clemson just does an incredible job, as they do with pretty much everything. Dabo knows exactly what he's doing. He's fine-tuned his process. They do Elite Junior Day so different than everybody else. They bring in just a select group of the best of the best. They have their top guys. They want it to be kind of an intimate setting. They can get more one-on-one time and things like that. They don't bring hundreds of kids like a lot of people do these junior days. And it seems to pay off for them. It's crazy because, a lot of people think volume is a big deal. You want to bring in a lot of kids. You put more hooks out there, you're liable to catch more fish, it seems like. But Clemson zeroes in on the ones they want, and they're able to give them more attention. and it pays off in the long run. And in this case, the short term as well. I mean, obviously they struck it with 4 guys this weekend, so it was just a huge day for Clemson football and a huge day for the future. I mean, Clemson just continues to recruit better and better. It's just great to watch as a Clemson fan.
Well, who do you want to start out with first? Let's let you run it.
Well, I actually wanted to do it in order of their commitment, so that's kind of the way I've got it, which would put Bo Collins first. Bo Collins, 6'3", 195 pounds, wide receiver from St. John Bosco, same school as DJ Uyunglele. So that was kind of cool. It's kind of cool to get that that California pipeline in there as well. We've kind of been trying to reach into Texas and California here lately, and it seems like we've kind of broken through the door in California, so that's a good thing for sure. Looking at his film, I kind of I like his speed. He has good speed. He's a really smooth runner. So he doesn't look super fast, on tape because he just kind of glides. I think he looks a lot similar to EJ Williams. People want to talk about how smooth he was in these games that he's been playing. I think that's a pretty good comparison for how he runs anyways. I like his awareness. I noticed in his film, he was really great at breaking off his route when he saw the quarterback was scrambling. He'd work back towards the quarterback, or he'd find the open space in the zone and just kind of sit there. It was something I really like to see from receivers when the quarterback's kind of in trouble. He bobbled one pass on his highlight reel. It would end up going for a touchdown anyways. He did maintain control and go for a touchdown. But other than that, his hands looked elite. I mean, the way he was making some catches, stretching back the other direction, full extension kind of catches. He looked fantastic to me. Now, I noticed him getting pretty wide open most of the time, whether it's behind the defense or the middle of the field. A lot of his catches were kind of unguarded catches. So I'd be interested to see how he catches the ball in traffic and how he makes the contested catches a little more, because a lot of the film that I saw, at least, he was pretty open. The quarterback was doing a good job in getting the ball there to him. So yeah, he's a great prospect. I'm looking forward to see what he can do.
Now we go by Rivals ratings. He's a 4-star, high 4-star, almost a 5-star guy.
Yeah.
Reading to you his numbers: 6'4", 195. I mean, that is a T. Higgins mold, if I've seen one. Maybe even a Justin Ross mold more closely, but definitely in that 6'4", big, tall, outside guy. And he's going to beat you deep. Now, it's not if, it's when. And he's going to do that, and you can see that in his highlight reel for sure right now, going deep in a lot of the plays. So, I mean, most kids in high school, they love that. And if you can do that, and if you can get open and you have that kind of speed to get behind the defense like that, and if they're crazy enough to guard you one-on-one, then so be it. And that's the great thing about it, is because this is about the time that Justin Ross will be gone. Justin Ross, this is his junior year coming up in 2020. And so he won't more than likely be on the team in 2021 unless he pulls a Travis Etienne on us. But so this will be a true freshman guy coming in to kind of take that place of that missing spot. Now we're losing Clemson's losing T. Higgins this year. Justin Ross is kind of going to have to be on. He's going to be on the field with Joseph Ngata more than likely, and Frank Ladson, those guys. But next year, like I said, Bo Collins will be likely one of the guys out there as that true freshman to kind of dominate. Again, like you said he had elite hands, and he made a great catch as you were saying that, which is really cool. But he's obviously familiar with the spread and familiar with the pistol, and that really there's just that read option. I mean, that's what you really want to see, or what really stood out to me is that he is playing in a system that Clemson is going to be running. So he's already getting that practice in running those types of routes and being in those types of formations. You see him playing in some slots, some double stacks, some far outside guy to the right, to the left. I mean, he can play all over the field in high school, and he can definitely get open. Like I said, if you look at that catch right there, he's not afraid to go across the middle of the field, which is something that Clemson needs to do more of, in my opinion. But he is a tall guy, so I don't expect him to be short middle of the field. He's probably going to be another deep middle of the field guy like a Higgins and a Ross. So keep that in mind. But he blocks for the running back, which Clemson coaches love to see. They don't want to see selfish wide receivers out there not blocking for the running backs. He also is really good at last-minute back shoulder catches in the end zone, which Clemson likes to do more of a, kind of like an impromptu or off the hip kind of thing where it's not really planned. You just got to be looking. And he's familiar with that. He's also familiar with those wide receiver bubble screens, kind of like the Deion Kane and guys that were successful in that. And then you see highlight film of him in the scramble drill when the quarterback is getting pressured. He's able to take advantage of that and come off of his route. I'm saying it, and it's happening as I'm watching it. He's coming off his route as his quarterback is scrambling out, and I mean, for me, he may just be a 4-star because he's not a senior yet, because he's got a little bit of everything, and he can show it all in his highlight film there as you're watching. That's courtesy of Huddle, social media content there for high school football highlight reels, and we're gonna kind of play a couple of players, and I believe you have one from YouTube. So hope you're enjoying that. Al, who you got up next on the lineup as a player we want to look at?
Well, the next guy we got that committed was Cade Denhoff. He's a big guy. He's a 6'5", 225-pound defensive end from Lakeland Christian Academy in Florida. 225 doesn't sound real big as a defensive end. Now, who knows? He'll probably be, I would assume, somewhere around 240 maybe by the time he gets to Clemson. And then they'll obviously want him to put on a little more weight as they're assuming he can, keep his edge, keep his speed, keep his agility, that kind of thing. He just, what I kind of see when I see this guy's film is he just got too much for his competition, too much for his private school competition. He just kind of overwhelms people for the most part. His highlight is absolutely riddled with plays where he is in the backfield and passes man almost immediately after the ball is snapped. You'll see that a lot in this. I'm assuming you probably see the same film that I saw as well. He gets his hands up really well. He bats the passes down. He disrupts the passing lanes, which is a good thing to be able to do. He wraps up well when he goes to make a sack or a tackle. And he's a real versatile player. He lines up at wide receiver, and he's on the kickoff team as well. I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier. So he definitely needs to come in. He'll benefit obviously from Batson's efforts as far as the strength and conditioning goes. Maybe take a redshirt year or something like that to get a little bit stronger. But he's definitely got the ability. Like you said, he's a really long player. He might be 6'5", but his wingspan is even longer than that. He's got a lot of ability. He can eat up a lot of space. It's gonna be really good watching what he can do. Why are you grinning so bad?
Well, you said, like I said, I haven't said it yet. But
you said it early. You said it earlier to me.
Hey, I'm not telling you any of my secrets. I'm not telling you my analytics before. But this guy has 7 minutes 30 seconds of film, of good film. And so obviously he's got a lot to work on, and it could be the competition that might be hurting his stock there in the rankings. But don't really look too much at the star capability, but look at 6'6", 215. Now the problem with 6'6", 215, as you can probably see from the film, is that he's basically a tight end out there or a wide receiver out there playing defensive end. And so that's a little bit of a concern because the Clemson Tiger linebacker core was very lean this year, and they all kind of got down to around the 235, 240 range. So you're saying he's about 20 pounds off of being a linebacker. So he's got a little bit of work to do if he's going to stay at the defensive end position. And the defensive end position is pretty stacked too. But this guy has a ton of film of him playing special teams, and also, as you can see right here, playing tight end and outside wide receiver because of that 6'6" frame. But one thing that really stuck out for me was just his length, his ability to get in on tackles when it seemed like the running back or the quarterback was going away from him. I really feel like he can take up about 10-yard radius around him because of his long arms and his long stature of 6'6" there. He really can, well, I say 6'6", 6'5", excuse me, 6'5", 225. I was looking at Jake Brennenstuhl.
I was going to get you there.
6'5", 225. So he's a little off. That's a little better. That sounds better. 225 is closer to that linebacker position, but still a little bit off of the defensive end position for sure for what you would normally see for Clemson Tigers. But a good bull rusher, fast to chase down to the outside, got long arms, can grab you. And like I said, he's just a great overall all-around athlete, somebody that I think is going to, I don't know what position he's going to end up at, but, he can really do anything as far as I feel like he can play just about anywhere, offense or defense, as far as like a position group like wide receiver or tight end or defensive end linebacker. He definitely can go either way. It just depends on what Clemson wants to do with him in the weight room, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm pretty sure his plan is going to be at defensive end. I think that's kind of where he's going to best suit for Clemson, anyways. But I like his versatility. It's always, Clemson likes to cross train a lot of players, so it's always good to see when you got somebody that can play multiple positions. Like you said, you were looking at Jake Brennenstuhl's height and weight there. I kind of noticed that when you were talking about him. He is the next guy up, tight end from Ravenwood High in Tennessee. Jake Briningstool, 6'6", 215 pounds. Got some length to him, no doubt. Obviously, I think that's a guy kind of like Denhoff is a guy Clemson will look to add, 25 pounds or so to him as well. You want him to kind of be in the Galloway, Leggett mold, something like that. He's got wide receiver hands, and he should be an upgrade of what we've seen in the passing game. Obviously, we hope Galloway can kind of be that guy next year, but Briningstool will kind of be that guy coming in. You expect similar things from for sure. I mean, he has great hands. He catches the ball well in traffic. I noticed that a little bit on his film. He is a very willing blocker, something I really like to see on film. A tight ends, a lot of times you get a pass catching tight end that has hands as good as his. A lot of times they don't really want to block so much. Well, that's not a problem with this guy. He's a relatively thin tight end, but he gets in there and gets aggressive. He's got an edge to him, really. He'll toss people to the ground and he'll engage with a blocker, long after the play's kind of passed him by on the other side of the field or passed him downfield or something like that. So it's a refreshing sight to see, no doubt. His dad, Tony, played linebacker for Michigan State. So, he's got the football genes in him as well. So that's good. But I think Briningstool is going to be a very welcome upgrade to the tight end position.
Yeah, I said tall for both Cade and Jake, and so that kind of threw me off because I was like, okay, that's the guy I want to read, but I'm not reading the right thing. I got to press the enter button. Have you ever heard of that key there from the keyboard? But Jake is 6'6", 215, 4-star, can stretch the field, can go across the middle. When I look at it, I don't know what you in the chat room think, but when I look at this, I'm seeing Leggett, Galloway. I mean, he's super tall. He goes across the middle. He can catch the ball really well. He's super fast too, man. I mean, it's just a really, really good pickup for the Tigers. I mean, this whole weekend was one that I believe sprung them from around the 8th position, depending on where you look, as far as overall rankings for team rankings, to now number 1 class. Man, this could be 2 number 1 recruiting classes in a row. Clemson's already started off with, started off hot early in the season, and really last year, Al, I think they had a Kevin Swint and maybe DeMonte Capehart came around this time, or Miles Murphy, one of those guys came around this time. This was before you and I got together on the show, and it was just me. But I believe Clemson really didn't have that kind of like star-studded January like they are having this year, and it's really exciting to be a part of it and see what Clemson can do and carry on that success that they've had in recruiting after doing so well in the playoffs and reaching the national championship game in 4 out of the last 5 times, 5 years. So Clemson's just going to keep rolling with this. I think Clemson is definitely here to stay. And another great thing, as far as I talked about this with Bo Collins. This is another guy where he is playing in the pistol. He's playing in the spread, and he's going to be very comfortable. Not only that, he looks very comfortable lead blocking for the run out of the pistol. And you know I love that. I love the off-tackle run out of the pistol, lead blocking with the tight end who's right behind but in between the tackle and the guard. I think that is a great formation to run the ball out of, and he's used to it, and I look forward to seeing what he can do in the same style that he's playing in high school. I think that's something that Clemson looks for because it just gives you an edge. I mean, you don't have to explain as much when they get on campus because they already are so familiar with it over the past 4 years, have been playing in the same type of system. So that's really cool to see what the Tigers have done. But that's not the last guy on the list. There's another big-time guy that if you stayed up late Sunday night, you got to find out about it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, you kind of I won't say save the best for last because if they want to play for Clemson, I'm going to call them all the best for sure. But the highest rated anyways, number 1 recruit in the country, Corey Foreman. He's a defensive end, from Centennial High School in California. 6'4", 265. I mean, this kid, he's a prototype defensive end, especially he looks like, in his film at least, he looks well suited for to be a strong side end, to kind of be that edge setter. He's got that kind of bulk to him. A lot of people are kind of wondering, if he puts on enough pounds, does he move over to defensive tackle or something like that? I like to keep him on the edge. I think he's got the ability, the explosiveness to stay on the edge and kind of, impact the game from a pass rushing standpoint as well. Like I said, he's kind of an edge setter, kind of run stuffer kind of guy. But I didn't get to watch his film from the opening. And that's kind of something I want to do because I got to see mostly sophomore film. I think he was injured most of his junior year, so there's not a lot of film out there. But apparently he looked great at the opening event. We had several Clemson commits in there as well. A lot of people were saying that, Corey Foreman was the best guy there. And this is an event that, Brian Brzee was at. I think Brian Brzee, I said it on the show not too long ago, that I think he's probably going to be the best commit, on the defense that Clemson's ever gotten. So that's kind of pretty high praise. I know Corey Foreman kind of won the defensive MVP there as well. So that's high praise. He plays with really low pad level, which is something you want to see from a defensive end. He really dips his shoulder, kind of gets around the tackle. That's one of his main pass rush moves. He just kind of, blows by the guy. He gets really low. He gets off the ball well. He's got the strength to bull rush if necessary as well. So he's got some pass rush moves as well. He uses his hands pretty well. A lot of the guys in the industry want to compare him to Chase Young. If that's the case, sign me up. The film I've seen, his sophomore film, he looked a little more like a Bowers to me, a Daquan Bowers than a Chase Young. But hey, I got to see a film from the Nike opening as well to kind of see if that changes my mind on his speed and explosiveness a little more. But this is a huge pickup for the Tigers to go with. I mean, the Brezees, Trey Williams, DeMonte Capehart, Miles Murphy of this past class as well. I mean, this is going to be an absolutely star-studded, loaded defensive line. It's going to kind of get us back to a Power Rangers 2.0 kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at him, I mean, he is just super, super dominant. It's hard to say who he looks like. I know I like to say maybe a Clowney type guy. I mean, he's just that good. But maybe, I don't know, if you could say a Clowney yet. I mean, he is 6'5", 263, not as tall, but big, 5-star guy. He really, I mean, he's like a defensive end that's Brian Brzee. I mean, he Brian is just that powerful, just knocking everybody over and knocking over good competition. Not just, your private school guys that anybody can knock over. It seems like this guy is going up against good competition in a lot of the elite and all-star games and showings that he's a part of. And just a huge pickup, somebody that really just helped propel this class to that number 1 overall ranking. I know it's still early for them to hang on to, but it's definitely exciting to see. I mean, just look at him. This guy. This is not film from his senior year, y'all. This is film from his junior year, 2019, 2020, kind of junior year, and he is just massive. Can you imagine, Al? I mean, if I was 6'5", 263 as a junior, I mean, can you imagine just how dominant I would be?
I would let you back on the basketball team if you were that big.
I mean, gosh, just what happened to me? Why am I sitting here, under 6 foot? I mean, I do what I can. I do what I can with the size that God gave me. But man, 6'5", 263 just amazes me. These guys aren't even 18 years old yet, and just having their way with the competition. And a very exciting time to be a Clemson Tiger fan and to be a Clemson Tiger staff and a team member for sure, because 2021 is going to be a strong year for the Tigers. It looks like they're going to be reloading on defense, going to be adding some good key players on offense, and going to also be having a good 2020 season as well with the number 1 overall class that just finished up or that's getting ready to finish up. Al, did you know that Wednesday, I don't know if you forgot about this, but Wednesday you and I have a date, my man. We're going to be going to the recruiting wrap-up. Did you forget? I mean, I see that look on your face, and it's
I
like
did
you
forget,
already
actually. Yes, I did.
You double booked. I can already see you double booked. Well, let me know.
I can take care of it.
Let me know, because we got a lot of fans that are watching the show that I'm sure would love to come join me for that recruiting wrap-up. So I'll sell your ticket in a minute, my man. I will sell your ticket.
Who wouldn't?
But we're going to finish up with the last segment of the night, and that's Jason Priester going to be talking about Clemson baseball. I'm actually going to take the rest of the night off, because Clemson baseball is over my head in this situation. I do not like. I mean, I don't prefer much about Clemson baseball. I don't know much about. I mean, I'm a Braves fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Braves fan, but I'm true to my interests. I mean, I'm spread thin, Al. I got interests all over the world, and
I'm working on it. I'll get you involved. I love Clemson. If you love baseball and you love Clemson, there's no reason not to love Clemson baseball. All right, but hey, Morgan, I don't know if you know this, but do you feel like the show's missing something tonight?
Something is missing, and it always happens like at the end of the show that you remind me of these things. But we just got right into it. I mean, we've had a lot going on. What we'll do is at the end of the show, we'll go over our sponsors. But since we got Jason Priester online, he's been waiting with us and ready to go. Jason, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. How's it going?
Welcome back to the show, and you, as always, thank you for being a part of it. We're going to be talking about Clemson baseball. and that's kind of your expertise. You just came out. You're doing some writing for Clemson Sports Illustrated, Clemson Maven, and you just came out with a really popular article, one that even Monty Lee himself retweeted. Tell us a little bit about that article, and let's get us started.
Yeah, I'm a big Carter Raffield fan, and I was so looking forward to him pitching last year for Clemson, and kind of broke my heart to hear that he was hurt and wasn't going to pitch at all and had to have the Tommy John surgery. And I've been looking forward to him pitching for a year now. I can't wait to see him get on the mound. And when I got the opportunity to write at Sports Illustrated with baseball season coming up, I knew that was one of the first things I wanted to write about was Carter Raffield and coming back. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him too a lot
he's
for sure. I thought it was really disappointing. Obviously, we weren't able to see him last year.
Throws hard. If the fans that aren't familiar with him, they're going to love him when they see him, man. He's going to be a good one.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that for sure. Hey, look, after losing so much offense, from this team last year, a lot of people think the strength of this team is going to be, the pitching, the starting rotation in particular. Raffield's probably going to be in that mix, like you said. Who do you think are kind of going to be our 3 weekend starters? And, if you could take a shot at, who you think might come out first in the midweek as well?
Who do I think will be the weekend starters? Ooh, that's a hard one, man. I think Davis Sharp.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Matt Clark, and I'm going to go with the opening weekend. Yeah, I'm going to go with Davis, Clark. I'm going to throw the freshman Anglin in there for the weekend, for the opening weekend. Mac Anglin.
All right. That's fair
and
enough.
Maybe ask you during the week.
There you go.
But I really honestly have no idea.
Yeah, no, it could be anybody. It really could be. I was a little surprised you put Matt Clark in there. So do you think they're going to keep Spencer Strider in a relief role, or do you think they're going to give him a shot at starting?
No, that's why I said the opening weekend. No, I don't. I expect Strider to be starting. I just don't know if it'll be the opening weekend.
Sure.
I think they're going to bring him and Raffield both back pretty slow.
Yeah.
Maybe we might see him get a start maybe in the midweek here to begin the season. I think they'll be on strict pitch counts. 35, 40 pitches, and they'll be out.
Right.
I think they want to have them ready by ACC play.
Oh, yeah,
and,
which is pretty typical.
I don't know if we'll see either one of them opening weekend in the rotation, but that'd be nice if we did.
So, look, obviously Clemson got some real bad news, when Jacob Hennessy's, season ended early to injury. I personally think, kind of the bigger loss was Michael Green being dismissed from the team. That was one of the biggest, most consistent bats we kind of had coming back, from a team with a questionable offense. You think Monty Lee kind of changes his approach a little bit and attempts a little more small ball, or does kind of the long ball strategy continue and just see who steps up to provide some power?
I think he's going to have to change up the strategy a little bit. I think they're going to have to play more station to station, work counts, take walks. There's a lot of speed in the lineup, so they need to get on base, steal bases, bunt more, bunt guys over. Like I said, play station to station. I just don't think they're going to have the power on this team that we've seen in years past. So I think he's going to be forced to change what he's been doing in years past.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I'm a big fan of the small ball kind of strategy anyways. I'm not a huge fan of, swinging for the fences every time. It's not really my cup of tea, but hey, as long as they're going out of the park, nobody cares, it's when they stop that people start to have a problem.
With you. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like seeing them fly out the park, but a lot of times when they don't fly out the park, they end up striking out. This team has struck out a ton the last 2 years. That's something else that's got to be cut down on. That they got to cut down on the strikeouts, take more walks, work counts more and get on base. I mean, they've got to cut down on the strikeouts, especially because I think this team's going to have a lot less power than what they've had in years past. So, got less power, you definitely got to cut down on the strikeouts.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, look, if obviously you kind of gave us your best shot in the dark at the weekend starters and maybe our midweek guy as well. Can you go through the position by position, the field players, just kind of give us a little rundown of who you think might be starting where for us to kind of give the fans a little bit of idea of what we're looking at, fielding?
Okay, in the outfield, of course, you got T.O. in center field. I think you'll have Mikowski out there. Um, Golly, who am I forgetting? Kier Meredith. I think that'll be your outfielders. Mikowski,
Right.
Meredith, and T.O. They'll probably platoon somebody in right field with Mikowski. But
Sure.
at shortstop, we got Sam Hall. Third base, maybe Clark or Parker. Parker, James Parker. Catcher Hackenberg. I think you will see a lot of the freshman Jonathan French too. I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
even if he's not catching, he might DH some, but he's a guy with some pop in his bat. So I think if he's ready, we're going to see a lot of him. Um, Second base. Let's see. I'm drawing a blank. Golly, I'm drawing a blank.
I think it may be a
Here.
newcomer at second base. You may have a Pierce Gallo or a Max Starbuck or somebody like that. It's just kind of a
Starbuck.
guess, kind of looking at
Starbuck.
everybody else.
That's who I'm trying to think of. Starbuck.
Yep.
Yeah, Starbuck. Starbuck and Gallo had good falls, man. When I was at the orange and purple game, Starbuck smacking the ball all around the park, man. He can hit the ball. Fans are gonna like him too.
Yeah, that's
He
good to
can
hear.
smack it. And first base, we might see Sharp there some. I don't think we're gonna see him a ton there. And golly, I don't even know who to say is gonna be at first base. What you think?
Well, honestly, I think Davis Sharp is kind of going to be your guy there at first base. I think Chad Ferry's going to get a look as well. That's just kind of a guess for me.
Ferry.
Right now, my best guess at the lineup, I had as first base, I had Davis Sharp. I had second base, Pierce Gallo / Max Starbuck, and third base I had Briar Hawkins. Shortstop I had Sam Hall. And then of course I had Kier Meredith, Teodosio, and I actually had Dylan Brewer / Mikowski in the outfield as well. So and I like Jonathan French. I think his bat's gonna make I like merit that he be in the lineup a little more, and of course Hackenberg's gonna get his shot as well behind the plate.
Brewer, good that you mentioned him. That's another kid that had a really good fall and has been hitting the ball real well. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of him too. And the reason why I said I didn't think we were going to see a lot of Sharp at first, because that was my thought at first too. That would be the first baseman when he wasn't pitching, but it was something Monty Lee actually said at one of the pressers the other day. He actually said that they weren't going to play Davis at first a lot, and that Davis might be upset with him as the little bit he does play there. So that kind of threw me off a little bit there. I don't know if maybe I think he got tired at the end of last year and they didn't have him throwing through camp or pitching. I know when I remember at the scrimmage, at the orange and purple scrimmage, even when he was playing first, he wasn't really throwing the ball a lot. I don't think they want him throwing too much.
Okay.
I think that might have something to do with it. But yeah, that kind of took me off guard when I heard that quote.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. I got one of our listeners kind of getting in on the comment line over here. He says, "So, what kind of season is reasonable to expect? You know, we have a lot of new stars at the positions. Kind of, what are you looking for from the Tigers? What would be a successful season in your eyes?"
There's a lot of youth and inexperience on this team. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talented pitching. Question is, are they ready to produce at this level? Because most of them, we don't know the answer to that yet. And first part of the season, I think this pitching is going to have to carry this team while they find their groove at the plate and get the right guys in the right positions, in the right lineup on the right days against right-handers and left-handers. But I think this team certainly should be expected to make a regional. Inexperienced, youth, doesn't matter. I think that should be the goal every year, and I think it should be reached every year. And to be honest, we're in year 5 here of the Monty Lee era, and hadn't been out of a regional since 2010, so almost 10 years now. It's time to get out of one too.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on that coaching staff to maybe get there and win one, even if that's unreasonable expectations. That pressure still might be there from the fan base because, fans aren't always reasonable.
Yeah, No, I totally agree with that for sure. And I think that's a fair assessment. I think making a regional, I don't think necessarily hosting a regional is should be an expectation this year. Yeah, I think making a regional should be one every year, and I think that should be achieved, just like you said, especially based off Clemson's history and how good of a program they've been. It's I don't want to I don't want to defend the fact that we haven't got out of regional in forever, okay? But in Monty Lee's defense, okay, it seems like every regional he gets stuck with one of the greatest two seeds of all time. He gets put with the Vanderbilt twice, okay? He gets put with Oklahoma State. He's going against these perennial powerhouse college baseball teams, and he's got to try to find a way to make it happen. He simply just hasn't been able to do it. But like you said, I don't like to hear a lot of excuses. I want to get it done. We're the host team for a reason because we're pretty good ourselves. So I think it's time for them to get kind of the postseason bats rolling around and get the pitching to lock them down and kind of get this thing going forward and make it out of a regional and hit the super for once in a long time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And they have had terrible luck with two seeds in regionals.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I remember sitting in Doug Kingsmore and watching Kyle Wright pitch against Clemson a couple years ago in that regional.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I was watching a major league pitcher pitch that day. I mean, I don't remember the last time I seen a college pitcher that knew how to pitch as well as he did. But
Oh yeah.
back to your point, in the last few years, Clemson's lack of success in regionals, in my opinion, has come down to lack of pitching depth. Just
Yeah.
not enough quality arms. And on paper this year, it looks like they have it. And if they do have it, then I think the expectation should be to get to the regional and get out of one.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. I think you're dead on with that and the pitching depth and the problems we've had with that the past few years. Whether it be just the fact that we haven't had the players or they haven't panned out or they've gotten injured or whatever it may be. It's been tough to watch because we get into the regional. Whether it's the first game we lose or the second game we lose, you're coming out of that loser's bracket. That's a difficult task. And when you don't have the arms, it's an impossible task. And that's proven to be exactly the case because Clemson hasn't made it out of that loser's bracket yet. So, yeah, it's a tough thing to do. But hopefully some of these young arms, the Mac Anglins of the world and the Rathfields who we haven't got a chance to see yet, hopefully they can provide some of that depth and kind of hopefully, one or two of them can grow and kind of be a star, maybe a weekend starter as well. It'd be good to see for sure. But a lot of youth, a lot of things going on there for sure. But we're gonna be pulling hard for the Clemson Tigers. I've got tickets to some games this year. I'm gonna go check them out, see what they've got for sure. And Morgan, you've been just totally silent over there, okay? And you warned us that this was gonna happen, but I know you've got some brilliant insight to bring to this conversation.
I'll give you one more. I'll give you the name of one more freshman pitcher to watch that I forgot to name his name. Jeffrey Gilbert. That's another one I watched in the orange and purple game, and he left-handed pitcher. He's not the power arm like Rathfield. He doesn't throw up in the 90s, but he knows how to pitch. He's got good stuff, and he knows how to locate it, and he can make batters look silly.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, again, we're talking to Jason Priester from Clemson on Sports Illustrated, Clemson Maven on Sports Illustrated, writer there, and also a writer over at Clemson Junkies. And we appreciate him joining us on the show. He's a big, huge baseball fan, Clemson baseball fan for sure. And Alan and him can just nerd out for another hour and a half. And I'm over here like eating some ice cream, probably having a little bit too much sweets before bed. But yeah, Al, I mean, for me, it's all about winning the games. Just win more games than the other teams. You'll be all right. Just put up more runs than the other teams. That's all you got to do. As long as you go in there and pitch good, hit good, feel good, everything will work out. So that's my goal for the Tigers going into this 2020 season. I think they can do it. But I did have a promise to Jason I made earlier today. I said, I'm going to spend a little bit more time researching the Clemson Tiger baseball team. I'm going to promise to read every article that he brings out this season. And so Jason, actually, I believe, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to be doing some things not from the stands this year. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Yes, that would be correct. I think I might do one or two from the press box this year.
Well, we're
That'll
excited.
be a first for me.
Well, I'm excited. I know we're excited, and the Clemson Tiger fans, man. There's a lot of people in chat saying you're everywhere now, and that's a good thing. We want to get you out there because, man, you're such a great writer. Met you a couple of months ago, earlier on in 2019, and it's been a great friendship that we've developed over the past couple of months. But I love your work, and thank you for coming on. You got anything for us before we let you go for the night?
No, other than to say that I'm pretty much exclusive to Sports Illustrated Maven now. I've all but passed the junkies on to a couple other writers, and they doing all the writing over there now. So I'm pretty much going to be strictly Sports Illustrated from here on out.
Awesome. Well, again, that was Jason Priester from Clemson Sports Illustrated over on SI. So si.com/college/Clemson. You can go check him out. You can see him on our Morgan Thomas Facebook page or on his Facebook page or our Twitter page. But thank you again, Jason, for joining us for the last segment of the night. Al, we talked about a little bit of basketball. We had a special guest, former Clemson basketball player, Terrance Oglesby. If you're watching right now and you missed that, check out the replay later on this week. I'll make sure to put it up. But Terrance Oglesby came on the show to talk about his experiences as a player and coach, and also talk about what he's going to be doing in the future, but mainly about the Clemson men's basketball team and their stretch this year, their season this year. And so we appreciate Terrance coming on. The second segment, we talked about the recruits, the big-time four recruits that committed to the Clemson Tigers over the past weekend. And so if you forgot that or missed that, we're going to have the replay up for there too, so don't worry about that. And then also at the very end, segment number 3, we had Jason Priester on to talk about Clemson baseball. I tried to stay awake during it. I hope you enjoyed it. We got a lot of people in chat just ragging on me, saying, you got to get into this baseball, stuff. Marty's saying, it's about as like watching paint dry is talking about baseball. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. I know he didn't say that. I'm just putting words in his mouth. But I wouldn't go that far. I would say that if it's Braves baseball, I'm all about it. I mean, I watch just about every game of Atlanta Braves. I hope that they make it into the World Series every single year. I really do love Major League Baseball, at least the Braves. Now, I can't watch any other team. If I watch any other team, I'm going to fall asleep too. But it's way better than golf, that's for sure.
I agree for sure, man. Dude, you got to get back to it. Have you forgotten again, or is it time to do our sponsors, okay?
I haven't forgotten, but I wanted to let everybody know that we got a few more minutes left. We're going to go over our sponsors real quick. I'm going to throw up the call-in number. That's 864-772-6674. I'm going to say it again. We had somebody call in, but we had to get to Jason first. If you want to call back in, come on in now. 864-772-6674. We got people watching over on YouTube. We got people watching on Facebook. I know I'm seeing you over on Twitter as well. Well, call in, 864-772-6674, and we will talk to you before the show's over. So you got about a couple of minutes. Alan's going to talk about our third segment sponsor first.
Oh, wow. So we're going to start backwards. You see,
Let's start backwards.
You can't do that kind of stuff. Look.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll start forward.
No, we can do this. All right, segment 3 sponsor, Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give Heating Cooling Services, Inc. a call. You'll want to get in touch with Mark or Jason Trammell, and their number is 864-224-7655. Again, that number is 864-224-7655. I've worked with them. They saved me a ton of money. I like working with good people. I've known them for a long time, and they are the definition of good people, ladies and gentlemen. So give them a call. They will take good care of you.
And I went backwards, Al, so that I could scroll up. You had to give me time. It's just all behind the scenes stuff. You got to give me time to scroll back up to where my first segment sponsor is, or our primary show sponsor, and that is Black's Tire Inc. And by now I should know it by heart, right? And I probably do. Let me scroll away and see if I can say it by heart, all right? Black's Tire Inc., family owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignments, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292. Let them know that the Morgan Thomas Show sent you. And I did that without even reading it. Al, I'm better than I thought.
Impressive.
I'm surprising myself every night. And then finally, our mid-show sponsor, and that is Tiger Sports Shop. We don't only dress for success. As you can see, I have my Columbia Clemson polo on tonight. But we don't just dress for success. We TS for success. That's Tiger Sports for Success. Tigersports.com. Go check them out for all your Tiger gear. Any time of the season, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, whatever sport you love, they've got gear just for you to wear at every game. So you can make sure that you are wearing orange during the game. Because if you go to a game and you don't wear orange, Alan's going to find you. And he's gonna say something about it. But I've got the Clemson Columbia jacket on or shirt on. I can only wear it inside during the show because it's freezing cold outside.
That's true. Hey, I have actually the orange, Cutter and Buck Dry Tech polo. It's got the special tiger on the logo. I don't know if you can see it. I know my microphone's in the way a little bit, but it's a cool logo they have. They got all kind of stuff. The Cutter and Buck, the Antigua. Don't forget to try out their specific, Tiger Sports brand. It's kind of the new thing they're pushing. It's same quality, a little more affordable price. It's some great stuff. We have several of those shirts as well. You'll see those from time to time here on the show as well. So please go give them a shout over there. Give them all of your money, just like I do. Okay, that's what they want. That's what I like. I like going in there. I could spend all day in one of these stores for sure. So give them a shout, get them a look. They've got everything you could want. They got a downtown location. They have a location on US 123. Tiger Sports Shop, ladies and gentlemen. Give them your business.
And we again appreciate you coming on the show, Al, and joining me tonight and being a co-host and keeping me in line. But also tomorrow night, if you're not aware, Clemson is going to play Syracuse. That's at home against Syracuse, 7 p.m., January 28th. So make sure you go to that. If you can't go to it in person, check it out. I don't know what is it going to be on? It looks like the ACC NX. So you got to have that service there. I might be able to get it and try to do a play-by-play. So I know a lot of people have been messaging me on social media saying, hey, what happened to the basketball play-by-plays? Clemson, they've just been playing at days that I just haven't been able to sit down and watch them, and not only watch them, but, take the time to do commentary. So tomorrow night is very doable for me. So keep a lookout over on social media, Facebook and Twitter. I will let you know if I do it for sure. It looks like Clemson Carson's saying those types of games are usually on Fox Sports Carolina. So if it's on Fox Sports again, then I'm good to go. So, but now that I'm doing Clemson Sports Illustrated stuff, if Zach Lentz finds out that I'm watching the game, he'll want me to write an article about it. So I got to kind of do it secretively. So don't tell Zach. Don't tell Zach I'm watching the game. No, I'm just kidding. We love Zach, and I appreciate the opportunity there. But again, Al, I don't know what else I got to do, guys. I don't know what else I got to do. I put in the phone line 7 times over on YouTube. I said it 864-772-6674. We got no callers.
They're angry at you for falling asleep during the baseball interview, as they should be.
It looks like a lot of people were very interested in that. It just doesn't happen to be the first name Morgan. So if you're very interested in it, Alan will love to do more of it on his own show coming up tomorrow night. No, I'm just kidding. But again, thank you so much for joining us and supporting the show. And like I said, like the video, share the video, and let your friends know that there is a weekly Clemson Sports Talk Show that's live every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But that's it. We're going to be signing off tonight. Thank you for watching and listening. Check us out, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm Morgan Thomas, your host and producer.
I'm your co-host, Alan Adams.
And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.